I'm here to tell the story of my daughter, Shalyn. Unfortunately, Shalyn died June 28, 2015 at the age of 22. So she can't tell you her own story. So I'm her voice. Shalyn was in school to become an RN. She was working 2 jobs as a CNA to support herself through college. She was very funny, loving, and a determined young woman. Shalyn had a torn ACL and was told surgery was not necessary. In May of 2015, she moved from Kansas City to Las Vegas to finish her nursing degree and to be around her siblings. She drove nonstop from Kansas City to Las Vegas. Immediately after this drive, she showed me her swollen leg. We thought that it would resolve itself. On June 3rd, she was horsing around and fell. She went to the ER, and the staff at the hospital immediately asked her, "Do you have insurance?" Shalyn replied, "No." This sealed her fate. Shalyn was in the final stages of a divorce in the waiting period for insurance at her new job. She was one of the many Americans who fall between the cracks. Shalyn waited in the ER rooms for hours begging for an MRI and pain medication to treat the 8 out of 10 pain that she had. To no avail. I received a phone call from her in the ER when she was crying on the phone, "Mommy, they're not helping me." The staff told her specifically to go get insurance and to see a specialist. They were not a doctor's office. She left humiliated and in pain. On June 25th, Shalyn flew back to Kansas City to wrap up some loose ends. The next morning, her father called me and said she had woken up with chest pains and crying to him, "Daddy, please call 911. Shalyn's heart stopped in the ambulance ride and coded for 59 minutes before they were able to start her heart again. I flew out to Kansas City immediately. Walking into her room, it finally hit me how bad it was. I saw my daughter on an incubator with her eyes fluttering open as she overbreathed, and she was starting to hemorrhage. She never regained consciousness. When the time came to turn off the machines to ready her for donation, I stood by her side and held her hand. I climbed into her bed and held her, kissing her, telling her how much I loved her as she took her last breath. If we lived in a country where insurance did not matter, and the treatment of your and the care that you received, Shalyn would still be alive. If they had asked the important questions and treated her pain, Shalyn would still be here. They would have known that she was African American and Caucasian, that she was on birth control with sickle cell trait, and she had just completed a drive of 22 hours with an injured knee. This would have led any practitioner to try to rule out a blood clot. And an inexpensive sonogram or blood test would have been able to diagnose this. Shalyn did not have to die. Initially, I was engulfed in grief. When I understood the political manipulation and corruption that created the perfect storm for her death, I knew I could not remain silent. It was a hard decision, as I knew I'd have to speak up, even to those that I considered friends and family who would be adamantly opposed to my activism. As Martin Luther King stated, to ignore evil is to become an accomplice to it. Having access to health care is a basic human right, and denying those is inhumane and, in essence, evil. You may not see the victims personally, but know that Shalyn is not alone. There are many others enduring an excruciating loss of a loved one and are trying to navigate a serious illness without coverage. I realize that now is the time to become politically involved. The current health system was not enough to help the countless Americans from harm or death with the improvements that were made. This country needs us to promote and fight for health care for all. It is truly the civilized and human call for action.